Hello and welcome to our fourth week. I hope you've read the posts and I hope you've seen that I've popped on about the class being able to be extended until the last class is going to be the 15th of July. So just before I do today's demo, I wanted to quickly explain. I haven't forgotten to put eye makeup on this eye. While bending over to fasten a shoelace, the dog decided to come and give me a kiss and he didn't tell me first. So I've got a lovely purple eye. So anyway, on with today's demo. So this is going to be a fresh posy made in Oasis. Now for those who don't know what Oasis is just a brand name really for floral foam. So this is our floral foam. We're going to need about a third of a brick. These are usually about £1 for a full block in the florists, but we'll use the rest of it on another class. So for now, we just need a third of a block of Oasis, and it cuts really easy with the scissors. What I want you to do is fill a bowl up with water, and instead of pushing this under the water, I want you to put it on the top so it sits on top of the water and let it naturally just submerge down itself. So I'll just quickly show you that here. So I've got my Oasis cut and I've filled my bowl up, and I'm just going to drop that onto the water and just let that soak itself. So I'm not pushing that under, I'm not going to force it under in any way at all. And what this is doing, it's actually pushing the air bubbles out. If you hold it underneath the water and the water goes over the top of the Oasis, it actually will create an airlock in the middle of the Oasis, and you won't be able to put your flowers, well, you will be able to put your flowers in, but they won't be able to get a drink from it. So you can see this has been about 35 seconds. So it really goes down very quickly, and this is what you want to see your Oasis doing until all of that light goes and it's dark. So I've cut my Oasis, I've soaked it, and I'm going to use this green dish, and I've got some green tape to tape that in with. So I'm just going to go across, going this way and this way with the tape. Now you can use sellotape. This could be a green saucer from the kitchen, or it could be a nice dish that you've got. It's entirely up to you. So that's all soaked in ready. And what I'm going to do now is using my tape, now this is florist pot tape, but you don't have to use florist pot tape. You can just use sellotape to go across this. But if you are using sellotape, the bit that's going across the top, pinch it in half so it's only half the thickness. As you can see, this is quite thin. And your sellotape or the pot tape or any tape you use isn't going to stick to the wet Oasis anyway. So that's nice and secure, that's not going anywhere, that's really nice and tight. The next thing I'm going to do, use a selection of foliage. So this is just some foliage that I've got out of the garden. I've got some nice silver leaf, some hebe and some euonymus, and I've also got some ivy in here as well. I'm going to use some of this ivy. So I've got some green and some silver and some variegated. And starting off with the foliage, nice sharp point. So you've got that nice sharp point. I'm going to work my way around the outside so that it goes in and down to the side, all the way around. So what I've done there, where I'm putting some of these bits of foliage in, and I don't want to put the big full stem in, taking the individual leaf, but making sure I've got a nice sharp point, finding a gap in the Oasis and then putting that silver leaf in. You see how light this one is against that one? So this one's just dry and this one's wet, and when this dries it will go as silver as this one. And I'm turning this around all the time while I'm making it, because I want to create this really nice round profile, round shape, but with a domed profile. So as I tip that up slightly, you can see it's very round, and it's about the size probably of about, I don't know, maybe a dinner plate. Give you an idea of a dinner plate. So I'm just going to go through now, and any little gaps that I've got, I'm going to fill in with the euonymus. You want to be making sure that you've just got a nice clean stem pushing into the oasis there. So if you take off all the leaves, you'll get that in nice. And I don't want it to come out too big. I'm just looking for this shape. And as you can see, I keep turning it and turning it around as I'm going. So I've got that really nice round outline shape. The materials that I'm putting on the side, we just lift that up a little bit. I'm working right the way down to the bottom of the dish because I want it to flow over the sides. So it's coming down and touching the table. What you don't want is to be putting your material in and it's sticking up in the air. So try and put it in so that it's coming down and flowing over the sides of the table, to the touching the table, right the way up and over to the other side. Okay, so I'm happy that I've got enough foliage in that. As I turn that around, it looks quite equal. Lots of different textures. I say this is literally all just come from little plants that are in my garden. They're getting a good prune this summer. We've not been able to get out and get some decent foliage from a florist. But if you can get out, then maybe you could look at buying something like a leatherleaf or a ruscus or eucalyptus is really good. But these have just been taken from the garden and you don't need lots at all. So the flowers that I'm going to use today are just a bunch of supermarket flowers that I've got. They're quite open, but it's a mixed bunches of roses and alstroemeria. And I've also picked up a bunch of chrysanthemums, but I'll probably only use one stem of these. So starting off with my focal flowers, I've got 4 of these roses that are the same colour. So I'm going to select one. I'm going to cut that nice sharp cut. Nice sharp angle, take off any leaves that are going to be in the way of the oasis, and this one is going to go smack bang in the middle, and I'm feeding that down and down into the oasis so it's sitting at the top. So this is going to be my highest flower now. Nothing, the way it's in the middle, nothing is going to go higher than this one. And I've got 3 left, so I want to equally place those 3 in a triangle. So as I'm looking down on it, like this video is, I want 3 equally placed. So again, cut them to size. It's always better to cut a little bit and try it, and if it's still too big, take it out and cut it again, rather than cut it too small and then you can't put it in. We can always take a bit more off, but we can't add it back on. So just to show you, I've put one in the centre and I've created 3 going around in a triangle with one in the centre. So it doesn't matter now which way round I turn that, these are equally placed. And when you're doing a posy, the idea of this is so that it doesn't matter where it sits on the table, you're going to get a nice equal mix of the flowers. So the next thing I'm going to do is look at what else I've got. Now in this bunch, I've got 3 of this darker pink. So the next 3 I'm going to go is 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go in between, creating a second triangle pattern. So there you go. So I've now got a second triangle with the darker pink and then the lighter pink. So in this bunch, I don't have another 3. I have 2 white ones. So I'm going to pop them to one side. I'm not going to use them. But I also had some some pink alstroemeria. So this one is quite nice. They're very open, but you'll see on your alstroemeria that you've got individual stems, so we can cut these as individual stems and use them. So I'm going to use some alstro, but I'm also going to use a stem of the white chrysanthemums. Now I don't need a full bunch. These are really nice and fresh. So starting off with my chrysanthemums, I'm putting them in next. So I'm just going to start with the chrysanthemums, and I've pulled off the lower stems. These ones are going to go around the lower side of the posy. So these ones are going to go around the outside, but then the larger heads, which are up at the top of your chrysanthemum, are going to go at the top. Okie doke. So what I've done there is I've gone around with the smaller to the outside and then the larger to the top and worked my way around this focal area. So I put my focal flowers in this pattern, but now I'm just starting to fill in all the way around with those white chrysanthemums, making sure that they're nice and equally spaced, that every flower's got its own space, nothing's too squashed, everything's nice and equal as you turn it around. Don't overcrowd it, don't be tempted to put too much in. If we've got lots of nice foliage in there, then it won't need lots and lots of flowers. But if you have got less foliage and you feel like you need more flowers and you need to put some more in to fill in where you can see the oasis, and you've got another stem, what you can do is take them, so you have a flower with a shorter stem, and actually recess them in. So looking where you've got maybe a bit of a gap, there's no gap there, but just to show you, and take that down at a lower level, so that when you're looking into the arrangement, you're creating a bit of depth and a bit of recession, so that putting them flowers down at a lower level helps to hide the oasis. So pushing that right the way in, right the way down, so it's at a lower level. It helps to hide that oasis and give nice depth to your arrangement. I quite like that the way it is with nothing else in, but I'm actually now going to go through and just put a little bit of some alstroemeria in. Now this can all be cut off the stem. So if I take these individual flowers from the stem, this is still quite long. You might not have alstroemeria, you might have some spray carnations. Spray carnations would be better than the alstro, to be honest with you. You might have some nice gypsy grass. Maybe you want to go through and put some gypsy grass in there, which is always a really nice filler, but be careful that you're not losing the shape putting your gypsy grass in. I do tend to feel as if gypsy grass, you lose the shape a little bit if you put too much in. So I'm just going round with a little bit of that alstro, and it's just actually adding in that other little colour and another little shape to our posy. I've got a few left on here, so I'll use these up. Okay, so I'm just doing a final check round that I've got no major gaps, that I haven't got any major squash either, because I don't want the flowers to be squashed. I want them all to have their own space as well. Final little check, final little gap. So when I'm looking at this now, there's the dish underneath. Because the flowers have come down, you can't really see that plastic dish. Okay, so that's my posy finished. So I look forward to seeing yours.